This summer, I'll be riding 2,800 miles from Spokane, Washington to Indianapolis, Indiana, to raise money and awareness for the youth mental health crisis. So I'm pretty stoked to announce that I have basically mapped out my route for my ride, starting in mid-June from Spokane, Washington area, and ending up in the Indianapolis area in the first week of August. So almost 2 months, not quite 2 months. So really excited, and I will share what that consists of. So I'll basically be using the routes that were developed by the Adventure Cycling Association in Missoula, Montana, that are a series of routes that have themes. They kind of provide a patchwork of trails going across the country, and I will share what those look like. So I'll be basically using 5 different trails with probably 8 different segments to kind of get across the country, starting with the Trans-America Trail, starting in Missoula, heading down to West Yellowstone, and then across Wyoming and into South Dakota, and then down the Mississippi River, over into Illinois, and then ending in Indiana on a route that goes from Chicago to New York, but I'm only doing the part of the Chicago to Indianapolis. So this is what the route looks like on the map. Starting over here in Spokane, Liberty Lake, Washington, and I will be riding across to Missoula, and then down the Trans-America Trail, section 4 of that trail, from Missoula to West Yellowstone here. At which point then I tap into section 1 of the Parks, Peaks, and Prairies route that takes me from West Yellowstone to Gillette, Wyoming, where then I tap into route number 2, or segment 2, section 2 of the same Parks, Peaks, and Prairies, to take me through South Dakota and up to Midland, South Dakota, where I then barely tap into route or section 3 of that same route, the Parks, Peaks, and Prairies, to get up to about Pierre, South Dakota. And waiting on is the Lewis and Clark Trail, which actually goes through northern Montana, and then down follows the Missouri River down through the middle of South Dakota. And so basically at Pierre, which is where that Missouri River is, I will then take the Lewis and Clark Trail all the way down the Missouri to probably Yankton or Vermilion. So trying to decide where I kind of want to stop there. My wife will be in South Dakota visiting her family. She has a lot of friends in that area, and probably will stop in Yankton, rest for a couple of days, reconnect with my family, who I will not have seen for about a month at that point, and get a couple of days rest before I then will drive over. It's not going to be that far. It will probably be one of the only times I drive unless something bad happens, over to Orange City, Iowa, where I will start the RAGBRAI ride on July 19th, and we'll ride across Iowa, and we'll dip my tire in the Mississippi River on Friday, July 25th. At that point, I may rest for a day or so before I then take the northern tier route, section 7 of that, which goes from Stillwater, Minnesota to Muscatine, Iowa. But I'm going to be basically going through Guttenberg. I would pronounce it Gutenberg, but I think in Iowa they call it Guttenberg, which is where the RAGBRAI will end. And I will take that to Muscatine, Iowa, which will put me down here somewhere on the Iowa-Illinois border, at which point I then tap into the Section 8 of the Northern Tier bicycle route that would take me from Muscatine, Iowa, across Illinois, into Indiana. This would take me to Monroeville, Indiana, which is too far east. And so at some point, as I'm crossing kind of the northern third of Indiana, I will then tap into Section 1 of the Chicago to New York City bike route. And I will be tapping into the Chicago to Indianapolis section, but really wherever I connect here between the northern tier and the Chicago to New York route, and then from then down to Indy, and that is the home stretch. So excited to have this done, plotted, kind of estimated rest time of pretty much once a week. Take a rest day every 7 days, which means I will probably be leaving around June 12th or the 14th. I'm trying to avoid leaving on Friday the 13th. Be it some bad karma right out of the gate, and I don't want to deal with that. So June 12th or June 14th, I'll be taking off, headed to Missoula, and hoping to arrive in Indy sometime between the 1st of August and the 5th of August. So stay tuned as I start to really nail down those dates, but excited to have this part done.